enjoy yourself, let your hair down. That's what it's all about.
For the performance, for the bounce back, for the result, the most important thing of last night is the character.
I was a fox in the box when I was in my playing days, and I'd have snaffled that all day long.
Yates gets a lot of stick from Luton fans. A lot of it, most of it, all of it is out of order, really. Please don't let there ever be a team sheet that this guy's fit and he's not on it. Please, please, please. Word is starting to circle that Frank Lampard is beginning to put photos up of Lamine Fanne on his wall, you know.
As long as he's not putting him up on his transfer list.
I can't afford him, mate. I can't afford him.
But you are well within your rights to be very excited.
And if you don't believe us, believe Chris Powell, because the boy likes a win, doesn't he? He likes a win. More of last night and less of Saturday, and we're all happy, happy, happy.
Easy peasy, innit?
Absolutely. Yep. The Town bounced back from a bashing at Barnsley by humbling Huddersfield on Tuesday night. And alongside me to look back on a much more enjoyable evening of football is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, that was the kind of bounce back we were looking for.
Indeed, and I like that alliterations. Well done.
See if there's any more alliterations when we do the podcast right after this intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast. This season, the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As I mentioned prior to the intro, we are looking back at Luton Town 2, Huddersfield 1, quite comfortably the best home performance of the season. And alongside me to do that, I've got Jimbo as always. Jimbo, I gave my instant reaction much happier, Kev, after the game on Tuesday. How about yourself?
Cock a hoop with that, really. I was, absolutely delighted. Very, very satisfied by the performance. Not perfect, but for large parts of it, controlled the game, didn't mess about with it, no chuckle vision to me to you stuff, as you called for, got forward, played some exciting stuff, and lots of players really putting in a shift, and I guess we'll talk about those.
We will indeed, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm glad you enjoyed the evening. You're absolutely right. And the purpose and of the night, the intensity of the night was so much better. You mentioned it wasn't perfect. Look, you don't go from a 5-0 beating to perfection in 3 days, do you? But from where we were coming home from Barnsley, it was more than acceptable.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the key, that we wanted a response, and however that looked, I think we even said we'd take a draw out of it. But then when they played so well right from the off, and everybody putting in a shift, crunching into tackles, playing forward with intent and purpose, and maybe we nullified Huddersfield, or maybe they just weren't very good, but I expected a bit more from them. But it doesn't matter, because we did what we did against them. And obviously you maybe want more goals to assert the dominance. But it's sort of slowly at the moment. You've got to try and build these things up, which is where we were in the, before the Barnsley beating, before Rotherham, in that 5-game run. It was sort of building up to things, and when you get to the Stockport game and you've won 4 on the spin for the first time in 5 years against the league leaders on their patch and obliterated them, quite rightly, very excited. Oh, can I say one thing? There's been a numerous different people that have contacted us via the comments or on social media and said, temper your excitement, or can you not get so excited and you get too high or you get too low? And I think it's with the best of intentions, but I just need to say, no, stop it. It is not our job to be moderate. I don't think. That's for the players. I've said it before, never too high, never too low. It's always for the players. If we win, you should get excited. Allow yourself to feel some joy. It doesn't have to be sky high, but feel joy. If you don't feel joy, what is the point? You don't go to football and, well, maybe you do. If the goal's scored, are you just sitting there going, yes, or are you really celebrating? Enjoy yourself, let your hair down. That's what it's all about. So no, never will I aim for the middle ground. It may be too high, it may be too low, but that is what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, you suffer the Barnsley lows, and boy, did we suffer the Barnsley low for the good times. I'm not suggesting last night was necessarily a good time, but it was a darn sight better time, wasn't it? And that was good. I mean, the football needed to be good, Jimbo, because it was a crisp old night, wasn't it? It was a hot chocolate sort of night. It was a bit toasty. It was not for the faint-hearted going to the football last night.
I reached for the Bovril for the first time. It was that cold. Yeah, absolutely chilly. But the football warmed my heart,
Yeah,
warmed my cockles. It was just, approaching the sort of stuff that you want to see. You can pick heads, you can pick things up about it. Of course you can. That's what we're here for, to go into it. Overall, it is approaching where you'd want to be as a Luton fan. I really enjoyed it as a game of football, as a contest, and the intent and the intensity of everything that Luton put out there on that performance. And that's all you can ask for. Sometimes it'll come off and it'll be unbelievable like Stockport. And sometimes it'll just be very, very satisfactory, which is what this was for me.
yeah, no, I agree. And fair play to Huddersfield. They came and made a game of it. Like yourself, I probably expected a bit more from Huddersfield, but then speaking to a couple of Huddersfield fans as I was walking through the alleyway, they weren't expecting too much. And maybe we bigged them up to something that they're not, but who cares?
But probably because they've been very tricky opponents in the past, haven't they? And I've not enjoyed playing them whatsoever. And I think we won the previous match against them, didn't we? But before that, it was a lot of heartbreak and
Yeah, you just
tough
remember the
games.
playoffs, don't you?
Yeah, it's horrible. So maybe that's what it was. But they were billed as like pre-season favourites, as we were. And if you were looking at that game in isolation, you'd say Luton were more. Am I saying promotion's back on the table? Because that's another thing people didn't quite get. It can be back on the table, but it doesn't mean we're getting promoted. It just means it's in the conversation, but I'm not going there. Promise you.
Well, it has to be, doesn't it? Because, I mean, we'll come up to the bigger picture towards the end of the podcast as we normally do. But you look at the league table as of tonight and or tomorrow or the morning, as if when you're watching this, we're a point off the playoffs and win on Saturday, and we're guaranteed to be in the playoffs because the team that's right above us are the team we're playing Saturday. Listen, we'll come on to all of that shortly.
What we need is a promotion table cam that we can cut to every episode to tell you whether it's on the table or if it's not on the table.
Well, yeah, I think exactly that. Yeah,
And maybe a funometer. There you go. If you're sort of artist, if you're an artist and you can come up with some sort of chart here, a funometer that we could put, because I wanted the fun back and it came back for a while, and then at Rotherham it disappeared, and then at Barnsley it died, and now it's back again. So it's going to be a sliding scale this season, isn't it? That you're just going to go up and down this funometer. I think we're higher up now. I'm happy.
yeah, no, I am. I am too. Um, yeah, you know, when you come back from Barnsley, you want a reaction. That's the immediate thing you want, whether that equates to a win or whether it equates to a draw. Or do you know what? Even playing the way we did last night, if they'd nailed us on the line or something like that, the performance would have been so much better, so much what we want to see. But they didn't, and thankfully they never looked like doing it. And we'll come on to the suffering and all of that in a minute. 5 changes to the team sheet. We always expected changes to that Barnsley team sheet because it couldn't have been repeated. I was slightly surprised that only one of the 3 centre halves was changed around. I think we expected a little bit more than that, but Nigel Long came in for Mads Andersen and had a stellar game. Hakeem Modoffin came in. We didn't really reflect on the Izzy Jones injury in the preview, such has been the speed that we've been doing podcasts this week. Hopefully that's not too bad. I don't think anyone's found out quite how bad it is, but hopefully it's not too bad. That was the second change. Lamine Fanne was always coming in. Jake Richards was always coming in. And we knew Jerry Yates was coming in for Nicky Wells, as we did know that Wells was injured. Fanny came in for Zach Nelson, Richards in for Gideon Kadir. So 5 changes. The attacking part of the team looked all right on paper. But I think there are a few people, certainly on the concourse that I spoke to, that were a little bit worried about the defensive look of it at the outset, although I was kind of appeased a little bit by Alfie May being on their bench. That was a bit of a touch.
Well, yeah, from our starting 11, I was a bit edgy about it. really, I have to say, because I think, if I said it in the preview, if you conceded 5 goals, then you've probably got to make changes. And I think, from what people are sort of feeling and saying and the things that I'm picking up, it probably the 2 people that they thought that should come out were still on the pitch. Um, but that kind of actually contributes to the feeling about the game, really, because I was like, I wasn't too convinced by it to start with, and then we were, bar 20 minutes in the second half, we were all good.
We were indeed, yeah. First half, I mean, it's as controlled and as good a first half of football as we've played at Kenilworth Road. Well, certainly since we were a championship football team. Couldn't even tell you which game it would have been. Probably that Coventry game, I suspect, towards the end of last season. We were in complete control, weren't we? I mean, Cohen Bramall, he must have been like a flash of orange in front of you because he was whizzing up and down that line to good intensity. The other side, Jake Richards was getting involved. Lamine Fanne, who was just exceptional on the night. Walsh and Saville had the control of the midfield, which they couldn't get hold of at Barnsley on Saturday. And Jerry Yates was running the defenders ragged. It was, as I said in the instant reaction, it was everything you want to see from a Luton team. Intensity, directness, not direct in terms of pumping long balls, but direct in terms of, I think Jack called it vertical actually, which is a brilliant word, from back to front rather than side to side. And it was, yeah, it was just enjoyable, Even before we scored, it was enjoyable. We had the Jerry H chance at the back stick from Saville's corner. We had one where they nearly nodded it in for us. Couldn't see who it was. I mean, how the hell can you commentate on Huddersfield, by the way? You can't see them numbers. What's that all about?
I think that is one of the things. There's so many bloody rules that they bring in that just don't really do it for people, and they're pointless. Like, you score a goal, take your shirt off and whiz it round your head, suddenly you're booked. Pointless. But what it should be done, if you've got a striped shirt, you should be forced to have a square or a circle on the back of your shirt so your number can be legible, or at least the number has to be in bright red or something. I've lost count the amount of times. It's difficult to find these things. It's nonsense. Get on that FIFA instead of your corruption train allowing Ronaldo in the World Cup. My goodness.
I'm glad it's you ranting on this podcast. It's usually me who's doing that, but you are absolutely right. So yeah, if I don't tell you anything of Huddersfield players, it's literally because I couldn't work out who the bloody hell was who. I know who Castledine is. We'll come on to why I know who he is shortly, but you kind of felt that it was one of those games where we needed to score because we were so on top. I mean, if you were sat in the main stand, I dare say you're getting a crick in your neck on the left-hand side because you were only looking to your left-hand side. All of the play was down that end of the pitch. And when the goal came, I'm not even bothered about who it's hit or what it's hit. It's of absolutely zero interest to me at all because I don't think the keeper's saving it, even if it didn't hit anyone. What a strike. I mean, I don't need to tell you how big a fan of this kid I am, Jake Richards. I've told you it from the minute I saw him for the first time against Barnet. I didn't do the pre-season games, but from the minute I saw him for the first time against Barnet, I knew a superstar was in front of me. And to hit that ball that's bouncing like that, it's got spin on it from the header that's come out, and to hit it as clean as that, it's in anyway, but the defender just makes absolutely sure whoever it hit. Absolute peach of a strike.
Yeah, Tekker's brilliant stuff. Just have a little swipe at that, but to keep it controlled, I was kind of fearful that they might take the goal off him because it took such a deflection. When you look back on the replay, that's going on target all day long. It just happens that it wrong foots the goalkeeper. And that's kind of what you get, or what I expect from a young kid to come in with fearlessness. But it's not like the unknown because he's had a lot of game time with Exeter as well. He looks so good, really does look the part. I want him in the team all the time. And it looks like Jack Wilshere fancies him as well. Whereas before he hadn't broken in the team, and it just sort of shows you what you can do when you give youth a chance sometimes. So yeah, really pleased for him because he's looking the part, and yeah, long may that continue. If he can score more goals like that, then I don't want to put him in the bracket. I'm going to say if a midfielder can pop up with a handful of goals and important goals all season, then these calls for Luton to put in a cheeky bid to get Luke Berry back on loan in January might die away a bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's still room for that, but well, the one thing we've got to make sure we do is get promoted this season, else you won't see Jake Richards next season, although he will leave with a rather hefty price tag. When he leaves, yeah, the kid's an absolute natural, and it was a brilliant strike. Actually, I think we should also say fair play to Yates and Saville in that move as well, because The original cross is, I think it was a corner, wasn't it? It was over here, which Yates actually keeps in play at the back stick, lays it off to Saville, whose cross is then recycled out for Richards to hit into the top corner. And you kind of thought from there, well, we know that when Luton score first, we win. You kind of thought from there, do we go on now and win this in a Stockport fashion? Or does this turn into one of those Doncaster wins where we have to kind of grind it out a little bit? Probably neither, really. It was probably a mixture of the two. Not really any clear-cut chances for us for the remainder of that half. There didn't need to be. Huddersfield came into it a little bit towards the end of the half. They had that move, didn't they, where they should have got a penalty.
There weren't clear-cut chances, but there were
Openings, weren't
so
there?
much more intent. And you mentioned Cohen Bramwell anyway. He was down the side where I was in the main stands in the press box, marauding up and down, taking people on and getting to the bar. And I love it. And he getting in there to cross the ball. Just need the players in the middle to read that a bit better, but so much better. And so not necessarily one-on-ones or through balls that were making it through, but there were chances which was leaving you to be encouraged. And really from the off in the first minute or two, I thought that Luton would bang up for it when Liam Walsh pierced the ball through the lines out to the wing on the other flank.
To a Dauphin,
yeah, and sort of set that in motion. I thought, well, we hadn't seen that in the last time we were in this ground against Rotherham. So it was really pleasing, all of that aspect of it.
Yeah, he was really good at Dauphin over the course of the night. We'll come on to individual performances in a minute. Yeah, might well have been lucky to go in 1-0 ahead at half time. I mean, if roles are reversed, that long wake handball, I'm screaming blue murder. Brilliant save. Great bit of basketball. Got it up the pitch quickly as well to make sure that referee could look away and things like that. But, that shot's saved by his hand. But we don't care. It's fine. Went in 1-0. Within about 10 seconds of the restart, though, you knew that they'd come out fighting because they nearly had a chance to score, didn't they? I think it was Naismith that prodded it behind. And for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, struggled to get control of the game back. We had that sort of situation that Richards was injured and was he going to go off, wasn't he going to go off? And eventually he did go down and Jacob Brown came on for him. And we really hope that that's not any sort of significant injury, particularly in light of the news of that Ali Al-Hamadi has posted on his social media account today that he's out for a few months. We don't need any more injuries picking up as we approach a very, very busy December and January. Then the equaliser came, Jimbo, and when it did, what an equaliser it was. I think it was after the Forest Green game, I mentioned about giving stupid free kicks away. And Yates does give a stupid free kick away because the Huddersfield players pass the ball backwards towards the halfway line, so there's no need to barge into him because any slight touch and he's going to throw himself to the floor. What you didn't know was what's to follow. And I mean, I've seen some free kicks in my time, but I don't think I've seen one quite as peachy as that. Because I mean, that was you got to hold your hands up. That was top class.
Yeah, you got to hold your hands up very high. That was one of the best free kicks I think I've seen live. Really, it was so postage stamp. It was inch perfect. I think if you're looking at that and in any way criticising Keeley, yeah, he makes a step, maybe a step and a half. You could even say two. I don't know, the other way. But even if he stood still, he was not getting that. That was rifled right into the top corner. And yeah, you just have to hold your hands up. And at that point, because they had gained more control, although they weren't necessarily threatening, experience had told us of late, and when I say of late, last year and a half, that's the point where the game changes and it all collapses. And this was kind of the most impressive aspect for me, is because from that point onwards, then Luton just found another gear, and it was all Luton. And well, there was only really one man that was doing the business there, Lamine Fanne.
Yeah, that absolutely was. I mean, that is the thing, isn't it? I mean, for the performance, for the bounce back, for the result, the most important thing of last night is the character. The character that we showed when we've conceded a worldie, and they're well within their rights on the pitch to think, how's our luck? Because League One players stick that in that particular part of the goal 1 in a million times. He's obviously on loan from Chelsea. He might well be good enough to do that a bit more, Castledine, and good luck to him. But they didn't, and they didn't hide, and they didn't collapse, and they didn't shirk away, and they came again. And you're right, Fanny is just. I mean, it's a hill I died on from the very first time I saw him, even out of position, that there's a footballer in him. And I'm delighted that he's finally showing everyone that there is a footballer in him because very early in the first half, he carried the ball from our half deep into their half. And that's the thing that no other midfielder that we've got can do. And he doesn't just carry it, he carries it directly with pace, power, intensity. And the only way you can stop that is fouling him because you can't get the ball off him because he's too strong and too quick. So unless you foul him, you're in serious, serious trouble. And they kind of found that throughout. Yates gets a lot of stick from Luton fans. A lot of it, most of it, all of it is out of order, really, because I think his history would suggest that he takes a month or two to settle into a new club before he starts, or into a season before he starts really going, and he never had a pre-season here. But what he is good at is pressing an opposition defence, and it was his press along with Cohen Bramwell's press that got the goalkeeper in all sorts of doo-doo, and he just played a pass that he should never have played. I mean, if he had any composure, the goalkeeper would have just whacked it, wouldn't he, as far out as possible. But he played a pass that Liam Walsh was waiting for him to play. He was goading him to play. He was just begging for him to play, and he did. He pounced on it. Yates had stopped the simple pass to the defender. Bramwell chased the goalkeeper down. The pass was into Liam Walsh's feet. Nice little bit of interplay. Eventually, the defender heads it out to Lamine Fanne, who hits a lovely half volley. If you're of a Luton persuasion, well done, Fanne, for following it up. If you're a Huddersfield persuasion, what the hell is the goalkeeper pushing it straight out for? We don't care. Fanne does follow it up, has another shot. It's going in. Of course it's going in. But who cares? Because we have a striker on the pitch who's going to be on the pitch for the foreseeable, we think, who needs a goal, who can't miss, who doesn't miss, who showed you all of the relief of scoring a goal with the celebration, which again has been criticised. Fun police do one, and there we are. We have ourselves a winning goal, and a winning goal that we deserved, but it was deserved from that press.
Yeah, very impressive stuff.
Was there meant to be a pun there? Impressive stuff with a press.
I will say pun intended.
Yeah.
Just imagine that it was. No, I missed that one entirely. No, very pleasing move, and it did work a treat. And I've got no qualms whatsoever with Jerry Yates pinching that on the line, because I was a fox in the box when I was in my playing days, and I'd have snaffled that all day long. And every number 9 in the world should be looking at that and saying, I'm having it. Lamine scored a goal already, and Yates needed one. He's only had that one league goal in the defeat against Plymouth, and that was more than 2 months ago. So he badly needed it, and but he played quite well actually in the game. I was quite comfortable with that. And I have said this before, but you know, he has done this at previous clubs where he's taken a while to get going. Most notably at Blackpool, 12 games he didn't score a goal, but then he ended up with 23 for the season. I'm not suggesting he'll get 23 for the season, but I think he's well capable of perhaps getting 15, something like that. Maybe that's not enough for some people, but you know, I think that this could be the moment that he sort of clicks and goes on. Well, it's going to have to be, isn't it? Because Nicky Wells is in a boot, and who knows when he's going to come back. Al Hamady is now out for a couple of months again, so who knows when he's going to come back. I guess Jacob Brown's coming into the picture, so we've got that competition there. But Nordos and Bodie nowhere to be seen other than the under-21s at the moment, so it's probably going to have to be that. So he's done it at exactly the right time, and hopefully it sort of kicks on from here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he has to score that, right? He doesn't know what's behind him. For all he knows, a defender's chasing back to doing a doffin and get it off the line, right? Just put the ball in the back of the net. If Fanny had a problem with it, then they can argue about it in the dressing room. But ultimately, we've won the game of football because Yates got in there, and good luck to him. And if he can get in there and do that another 5 or 10 times this season, I'll be absolutely delighted. And I'm sure we all will. It was a deserved victory. I think we saw the game out well from there. Mads Anderson came on, didn't need to do the heading then the kick in after they started changing their front line.
And very well as well, Mads Anderson. Kudos to Mads Anderson for that. That's what you should be doing. None of this passing around the back and stuff. Don't want to see ball at the feet of the centre backs, but what he can do is head and kick it like that, and he relieves so much pressure.
Yep, absolutely. I think they had one other shot that Cal Naismith blocked, so kudos to Naismith for doing that. And we could have got a third, couldn't we, with the breakaway when Saville sent Jacob Brown down the line. I'm screaming at him to shoot, but he tries to roll it into Morris, who just gets tugged back from the defender just as he's going past him, just to put him off of his stride. Otherwise, he'd have had a tap in, but it didn't matter. There wasn't going to be enough time for them to score. I mean, I don't know where 8 minutes of injury time came from, let me tell you, but it
Ooh,
felt like
no.
8 weeks.
Yeah, no, I thought six-ish, really. I thought, yeah. But the thing was that there wasn't really any concerted pressure. You have to give that to Luton as well, because they defended fantastically well. Mads Anderson's very good. Hakim Adoffin, exceptionally good. Really liking what I'm seeing of him now that he's back in the team, or after that injury at the beginning of the season. So really pleased with that, and that's kind of what you want. Like, it felt a bit calmer. I wasn't too nervous. A little bit nervous because history, but not that much.
Yeah, no, I agree. But that was the thing, wasn't it? When they equalised, we all thought, well, they're just going to go and win this game now, Huddersfield.
Yeah. We just thought, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is the first time this season that Luton have won and conceded a goal. All the other wins were with clean sheets. So when they equalised, just that statistic alone makes you think, well, we're not winning now. Can we hold on for a 1-1? But there's still 25 minutes to go or whatever. And you look at their bench and you know that there's attacker after attacker after attacker about to come onto it as well. But it didn't matter. We saw it out. We stood up and we came back and we fought back. And maybe that does help. Maybe having someone like a Dauphin, who was a leader at Rotherham, maybe having him on the pitch, who's been in this situation, and maybe it helped. I don't know, but whatever it was, it's brilliant that we know that we've got it. And you know what? The more times that we see that, the more times that we can actually think that Barnsley was the one-off now, rather than the regular occurrence that we have it in our mind as being, or certainly had it in our mind as being when it happened on Saturday, because that's now sort of 6 or 7 games where we've only had one absolute disaster class, whereas they were coming a bit more regularly than that. I'm not getting carried away by any stretch of the imagination. I think Saturday is an absolutely humdinger of a test to come, but we're not reflecting on that. We're reflecting on last night. And in terms of boxes that we needed to tick, having a bit of character, showing that we can take a punch to the chin, as Jack keeps on saying, and this time get up and fight back, is certainly a box that we needed to tick and did tick.
Absolutely. All the ingredients that we're looking for to signify that things are changing were there. And I think you've got to focus on those parts, because, like you say, we'd only won games when we kept clean sheets. So there's another one there. The intensity part, the seeing out 8 minutes in, was quite comfortable, reasonably comfortable. All that stuff was really good. People putting in a good shift. The home performance, comfortably the best of the season, and all these things that suggest that things are moving in the right direction. It might be you might need a couple more games to suggest that Barnsley was a blip, because right now it kind of feels like, well, you're either going to be fantastic and win or stink the place out, and then you need to find it's consistently inconsistent at the moment. You need to find that more of a winning streak, but that's okay. And all of those aspects contribute to this feeling of satisfaction about that game.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, generally those absolute howling, stinking performances come on the road. So if we can get through to sort of the new year without another one of those, which we should be able to do, it's only really Leyton Orient of the away games that we've got coming up, let's say until the other side of Doncaster, of a team that has a genuinely potent threat in terms of goal scoring. We should be able to get through to that. If we do get through to that, then we can say that things have changed. But if we keep on doing every other away game from Stockport to Barnsley, back to Stockport to Barnsley, and then we're not really anywhere. But the other thing we needed to do, Jimbo, was convince at home, because we're not going anywhere until we start doing that. And to convince at home against the second favourites to win the league, that's not a bad team to do it against. So that was good. Obviously, there are still cherries that can go on top of the cake. Somewhere along the line, you'd like to see us absolutely take a team to the cleaners at home, and I'm sure that will come along at some point. It was never going to come along after a 5-0 defeat, as I said earlier on in the podcast. So pretty much everything that I wanted to see from us last night, I saw from us. And, well, the thing that I wanted to see from us, that I always want to see from us, I sit behind this table and I say it regularly, is young footballers performing for this football club. I call for the more young players that we can get into this team, the better. And we saw last night why. I mean, Fanny was just out of this world. I mean, we should say thanks to Mason, the young lad
Check this out.
who
We've actually got Lamine Fanne's match-worn shirt from the game last night. That Mason, who was the mascot of the game, got off him at the end of the game. So that's the actual shirt that he wore. I'm very surprised that it's a sort of a it's a medium size, because he looks massive to me on the pitch. But I don't know how many times we're going to have this in the studio. But look at that beauty.
you and I ain't getting into that, Jimbo. I can tell you that for nothing.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I could fit into a medium. But look at that, and he even got it signed. Absolute result. Well done, Mason.
Yeah,
Bit of a Kenilworth Road whitewash on the shoulder.
Bit of mud there as well.
It's lovely, doesn't it? Anyway, so that's what's been hanging up behind me, in case you were wondering. But
I'm glad.
absolute result.
I'm glad you mentioned that whitewash on the shoulder, Jimbo, because did that come from when Lamine Fanne decided? Well, not Lamine Fanne, but the Huddersfield player decided to get himself into the wrestling ring and put him in a headlock and chuck him over his shot. I mean, how the hell that isn't a penalty is beyond me. I mean, it's a penalty in mixed martial arts, let alone on a football pitch. I mean, what on earth? I know he didn't give the long wake handball, so he's cancelled each other out, but that's got to be a penalty, surely. He's thrown him over his shoulder. He's a big lad and all.
It's a headlock, borderline DDT from the WWF, mate. That's what that was. It was unbelievable that he didn't give that. I'm not a fan of this notion that that sort of evens out the one that he didn't give against Long Wake. I think you've got to give him if you see him, and that was a foul. That was a penalty. So, it didn't matter in the end. Fanner's had such a fantastic game. Like, just it's hard to sort of understate really how good he's been since he's come in, and he's growing all the time, but particularly under Jack Wilshere. And it's great to see. It kind of shows you really that sometimes it really can take a while to bed in. We're talking about Yates and his history with starts and stuff, but when you're a player coming from a foreign division and coming into England, and how tough it was last season, now he's really starting to shine. And this is the sort of player that we were thinking and hoping we'd get. You had Steve Wiss of the Nordic Football Podcast on the Instant Reaction up at Barnsley, didn't you? And he talked at the beginning of the season, the qualities of what we could get, but very raw, and it's all potential. Now I think that's starting to show.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely it is. And please don't let there ever be a team sheet that this guy's fit and he's not on it. Please, 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 because he's good to watch. And word is starting to circle that Frank Lampard is beginning to put photos up of Lamine Fanne on his wall. It's we are getting into that territory.
As long as he's not putting him up on his transfer list for January, that's the main thing.
No, I can't afford him, mate. Can't afford him. We're all good. And obviously the other one, Jake Richards, who is just got that magical left foot. I keep on saying it every time I watch him play. Unbelievable player. I thought that injury and that change kind of wobbled us for 10 or 15 minutes, but to be fair to Jacob Brown, he grew into the game, didn't he? And certainly became a force the longer it went on. Richards is another one. When he's fit, please don't ever let there be. And I know he's 18, and I know there's lots of games, and I know there's this, that, and the other, but just play him.
Well, yeah. I mean, they have these vests and these metrics and everything. You can tell when they go in their red zone. But I'm always minded that Wayne Rooney once said when he was in his younger days, I just could play all day long. I could play that game, and then I could go back to home and play football on the street with my mates and stuff. I think, if you're in that sort of rich vein of form and you're young and they're not in that red zone, they're not a danger, play them. We've seen the squad rotation, and it ended. I mean, it's not the sole reason, but ended in a 5-0 defeat up at Barnsley. It didn't work. And so we were calling for Richards and Fanne to come back into the team, and they did not disappoint.
No, they didn't. I don't think I'd want to play Jake Richards on the street with my mate, so you'd never get the ball off him, would you? I mean, you're just going to be doing a lot of running and not much football. So, but yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Please just play as much as possible, and really hope that injury is not going to keep him out of Saturday because, yeah, we need all the attacking players we can get. I want to give a special mention to George Saville, Jimbo. Think we did. I said it at the time. We missed him in that Rotherham game. Just just having him there releases midfielders, and actually Walsh was a little bit higher up the pitch, or able to get higher up the pitch. Certainly in the second half last night. Hence why he pounced onto that loose ball for the winning goal. I called out our team for not winning any duels on Saturday. So when someone wins 10 out of 11 ground duels like Saville did last night, you have to shout it from the rooftops. And he's not ever going to be one of those players that those that follow the football will naturally see the best of, because he does a lot of his work off the ball. But to win that many challenges last night, I know he's got another yellow card, and that's unfortunate, and he's got 6 yellow cards now. But that's the life and times of a central midfielder, a holding midfielder. But to win those duels, to stop those transition moments, to get us back on the ball and able to launch our attacks again, that's exactly what he's in the team for. And that's a high percentage of duels that he won last night.
That's top statting as well. Well done on that one. Yeah, I thought he was winning everything that came near him and really sticking his boot in where it mattered, and that confirms it. So yeah, no, I think he's a linchpin, isn't he? That's what Marvellous Nakamba was in his pomp when he first arrived. He was that linchpin, did the dirty stuff, feeds it to the players that can do some damage, and away you go. And that's kind of what he is. And it probably has taken him a while to get used to it as well and embed into this team. But I think again, he's another one since probably Wilshere's come in. You can see the development of where we need him to be, and he's probably another one that he's got to be on the team sheet all the time. Really, he's played a lot of games as well, so he's quite robust.
Oh, yeah, no problem with that. I mean, he's not up and down the pitch, is he? It's not like he's going to knacker himself out all the time. It's the only time he's going to miss games, he's going to be suspended. But again, that's the life and times of holding midfielder. He won 10 out of 11 ground duels. The most duel winner, though, I just looked at it because I criticised them for it Saturday, so I thought I didn't need to praise, because you can tell with your eyes when it's happening. So we needed to praise. It was Hakeem Odoffin, won 16 duels. Some of them were aerial, some of them were on the ground. For a guy who made his first league start for the Town last night, that was really impressive. Either he's taller than he looks, or he's got a hell of a spring on him, because he looked very dominant aerially last night.
It looked dominant everywhere, didn't he? I was really impressed by his performance, and I kind of had high hopes from when we signed him. He was talked up very highly of the Rotherham fans, and it felt like a very Luton signing at the time, a very Luton good signing, not a very Luton he's going to get injured signing, which he subsequently did. But it was a bit of a freak one, wasn't it? That injury. So yeah, he does look really solid, but more than that, he did offer some stuff going forward as well, which was useful, and it helped. Well, it probably ultimately helped, as well as the instructions not to do it. Stop around at the back with the ball, and it was good to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because it is important that right wing back has to get forward, because the whole idea of having Jake Richards out wide on the right hand side is to take the defender in and create an ocean of space. And if you saw that move that Jimbo mentioned earlier in the podcast, when Walsh sent Odoffin through in the first 5 minutes, that was it played out in front of our eyes. Richards took the left back out of the equation. Odoffin had probably a quarter of the pitch to himself down there, and assuming that Liam Walsh got the pass right, and Liam Walsh never doesn't get the pass right in terms of weight of pass, we were in, and then we come back to the situation that someone in the box has to read the cross better, and that's the work in progress, the final bit of the jigsaw that I'm sure Jack will work out. I'm sure he's got an awful lot more chance of working it out when he's only got one piece of the jigsaw to find, rather than 999 pieces of the 1,000 piece jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, quite as well. What I liked about that Odoffin performance in attacking sense, and maybe also Bramall, is the high line of them. When we had the ball, that's where they were, because Walsh doesn't find him that way if he's not looking to get forward and get into the attack. And you think of all the times, well, particularly last season, where there was nothing in attack because Carlton Morris would go out wide and there was nothing in the middle. We don't need to do that anymore, which is probably going to suit Yates as well, because he is a number 9. He's clearly a poacher type striker, but if you get him service in the centre of the, 18-yard box, 6-yard box, then that's probably going to get more fruitful rewards than anything else, really. And the way that Cohen Bramwell in particular was getting crosses in, you've got Shaden Morris who came back as a cameo. I love he gets to the byline. Gideon Kadeya's on the bench, he can do it as well. And Izzy Jones, when he's hopefully, if he's not out for a while, then that says to me there's a way forward there. That points, well, certainly throughout Rotherham was like, I don't know what we're doing. And then at Barnsley, there was nothing. So that's a positive.
Yeah, the sort of wing backs getting that far forward, that's where the three at the back does come into its own, Jimbo, because they all shuffle across. So if it's Bramall who's gone forward, then they all shuffle across and make a back four. So Odoffin would be right back, Naismith would be left back, and then you'd have 2 centre backs, which allows Bramall to go forward and not have to worry about losing it because he's got backup behind him, and ditto the other side. They'll all move across. Bramall would end up as left back, Mengi would end up as right back, and Odoffin can go all the way down there. So that flexibility is the good side of that back three. There are still so many issues with, maybe it's just the defenders that we've got in it, but I don't know. But that is the good side of it. And if it leads to attacking output like that, which we've not really had in that situation, have we? Whenever we've played a back three, there hasn't really been a situation where the wing backs can go forward without leaving God knows how much space behind them. And then we've obviously seen the goal that results when we lose the ball. That ball in down the channel and then the one across to the unmarked man. That's not there now because we kind of shuffle across and block that out. So that's a good thing. And if we keep on doing that, then that's absolutely fine. And of course, having your wing backs that far forward allows your midfield to be that little bit further forward, and we can squeeze the play up a little bit more, which we just couldn't do at Barnsley because we could not A, get the wing backs forward, and B, we couldn't get the midfield into their half of the pitch because we were just getting overrun or losing the ball time and time again. This time it was different. So that was definitely something that we learned from. I think Jack said that there was an awful lot of honest conversations around analysis of Saturday's game. So that's obviously something that they've picked up and that they've worked on and managed to perform. And really and truly at home, we should be able to do that an awful lot. Because if Huddersfield are coming down here and letting us do that, there aren't going to be too many teams that attack in the same way that Huddersfield do. We're playing one on Saturday, but more often than not, we're going to face the Rotherham issue than the Huddersfield issue in terms of attacking. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get men forward more and more at home, and in turn start looking better and better at home. So if Odoffin is the answer to that at right wing back, which will allow Izzy Jones when he comes back to play further up the pitch and give us even more options, I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, even when you look back now on the Rotherham one, and the way we were trying to draw them out and they absolutely weren't having it, but it was only that was the one way you were trying to do it. And even Jack Wilshere said after that game, well, if that doesn't work, then you maybe need to go a bit more direct, a bit more vertical is the word he likes to say. And that's probably where we found the joy against Huddersfield. So you've got to have those different prongs to your attack. And it is a learning process for him, for the team as well. They're still going to try and figure this out, but you can see the learning now from most of the games. Even from the 2 home games, Rotherham and Huddersfield, you can see a difference. And it's just whether that Barnsley one in the middle is a blip. We hope so.
Yeah, time will tell, won't it? Time will tell if it was a blip or not. It might just be coincidence that it was in close proximity to Stevenage away, Lincoln away, and things like that. Bramall's really becoming a signing, isn't he?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I've said it already. If it's just the directness of it, I mean, he's not directly like him, but that's what JJ used to do. That's what Jack Stacey used to do, and that's why we loved that that team of. And it was in this division that they did that. If we get anywhere near that, it'd be sensational. But yeah, he's done it enough now in enough games to say that yeah, we've got a player there that looks full of confidence, and not only can he take a wonderful free kick, but his crosses are pretty good. We just need to get those men in the middle reading it a little bit better. We could be away.
One of those, isn't it? The cross looks bad when there's no one on the end of it, but actually it's the person not on the end of it that makes the cross look bad.
It's the areas where he's putting them into really good. And actually, I didn't give this much attention in previous games, but the corner routines I was liking a lot, especially early on in the first half when we were loading it up at the back post, really quite far away from the back post. I'm like, what's going on here? And they've obviously working on some stuff at on the training ground. I like it because what it does mean, it avoids the bugbear that I think you and I and many people out there probably have, is hitting the first man. Well, don't do that. Hit it really long to the back post, nod it back in or hit it back in, and then get the second. So I like that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, that's where that Yates volley came from, wasn't it, in the first 10 or 15 minutes? The favourite corner that I had actually was the one that Saville and Morris did with about 5-10 minutes to go, where he went short to Morris and ran round the other side, and it looked to all money that he was going to give the ball back to Saville to cross the ball in, but the defenders brought it hook, line and sinker, so Morris just turned back and went to the byline, and I think actually someone got on his shoulder and dragged his shirt and things, but we got another corner out of it. But it's good to see different corner routines because we're not the biggest team. We're certainly not the biggest team in the world with Mads Andersen not on the pitch, and we're going to have to do different corner routines. We're going to have to drag one or two men out to create a little bit of space, because the only way our slightly smaller players are going to get uh, aerial enough is by having a run on the defenders. So the more space we can create in the box, the better we'll be for it.
No surprise really that Jack Wilshere's been schooled at Arsenal, really, isn't he? Both as a player and as a
Set piece
as
FC, you
coach.
mean?
Yeah, they've got a set piece coach, haven't they? And that must filter through. It's good to see that, because all too often it just feels like a hopeful ball into the centre, and what most teams are generally good at in this division is heading kicking. They can just get it away. So need something different to shake it up a bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously, set pieces are big, aren't they? How many games of football, even in the Premier League this season, how many tight games are being won by set pieces? If you can turn 3 draws into wins and get 6 points from just set pieces over the course of the season, that's equating to 2 wins, isn't it? So, yeah, that's a good thing. Just finishing on the game itself, single out Nigel Long. We've seen Nigel Long play every position bar goalkeeper and the middle of a back three. Well, we ticked off the second one of those last night. And you know what? It works, doesn't it? Because there were 2 or 3 times where he covered with his pace and got back and rescued dodgy situations behind Mengi and behind Naismith. And I guess that's what you want from your middleman, right? And the middleman is meant to be the sweeper in old school parlance,
Mhm.
So you probably do need him to have a little bit of pace. I mean, obviously, you and I go back to the 1990 World Cup where England utilised Mark Wright there, alongside Terry Butcher and Des Walker. Well, Des Walker had pace to burn, didn't he? And the other two were there to head it and kick it. And that's kind of the combination that we had last night. For a guy who spent all of his time at Luton so far playing right wing back and looking like a fish out of water, and right back looking like a fish out of water, I think we found his position there. Now, whether he can get in there ahead of the likes of Anderson long term, I guess that will be down to his performance levels. But he did nothing last night that suggests he shouldn't get another go in between Naismith and Mengi.
Yeah, no, he's one of the stand-up performers for me. I thought it was really good. We definitely seen the real Nigel Long there, because one thing we've definitely learned is that he ain't a wing back. But then we've learnt that about a lot of players in this system, which is probably why the system we played last night. It's a surprise that it was working, because it hadn't. It hadn't, certainly under Edwards and Bloomfield. But Nigel Long, very good performance. Very assured. Got us out of the little bit of trouble that we got ourselves in. So there's that element, trying to cut those mistakes out, but we weren't punished by them, which is good. I liked it a lot, and that's good because we need that competition back there.
And if anything does happen to Josh Keeley, he'll make a perfectly adequate goalkeeper.
You got away with that one a bit, didn't we?
Massively.
Yeah.
Yep. And who cares that we did? Um, yeah, much more pleasing evening of football. Yes, there's still things that we can build on. That's absolutely fine. But the one thing we can't build on is the result of 3 points. And whenever we get 3 points, we're a happy pair, Jimbo.
Yeah, very. Yeah. Look, there's a lot of misery in the world. There's a lot of misery. Embrace joy when you get it, and winning football matches, playing like we did, is pretty good.
Absolutely. If you're going to sit there in the cold, you might as well win the football match and come out with something to show for your efforts. As sitting there in the cold, the crowd was a bit down last night, wasn't it? Lots and lots of empty seats. I don't know if that's a sign of the times, sign of the football that's gone, sign of the fact it was freezing cold and on television. I don't know what it was, but let's hope there's a few more in the ground on Saturday.
Yeah, hopefully now, if they've seen that performance, that they will do. I think it's a combination of most of those things, adding to the fact that Christmas is coming up as well. But yeah, it was the sub 10,000, the lowest attendance for the first 2.5 years, more than 2.5 years. Yeah, I think you can really look at the Barnsley and the Rotherham games for recent memory of why people might not have turned up there. It was absolutely cold as well. But listen, hopefully that does not continue. But even so, actually, I have to give the crowd a lot of credit for yesterday, because we talked about the team rallying after the equalizer. Then the crowd did as well. There was a lot in front, certainly in front of me, a lot of noise, positive noise about getting the team back on their feet to try and rescue the game. And fair play to them, because it has been quiet of many times this season.
It has, yeah. I think that was a byproduct of the football that we were playing, the attacking intent that we had, the intensity that we had, and that's everything that Luton fans want to see. We'll always get behind that,
Mm.
but we won't be getting behind all that surrender nonsense that we got at the weekend. So more of last night and less of Saturday, and we're all happy, happy, happy.
Easy peasy, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yep. Tell you who else is happy, Jimbo. 7 people got the correct score last night. And to be fair, kudos to all of you. I'll read out your names in a minute, give you your shout out, because everyone well within their rights to think Huddersfield are going to come down here and get a result last night after Saturday. So it's a good leap of faith from anyone who predicted a Luton win last night. I didn't. We've had all this reverse psychology nonsense, which unfortunately we're now going to have to put up with for the remainder of the season, but that's fine.
It's a moral victory for me on that front. It's back, people. Hey, circumstances dictated it, and some of you loved it, but it's back.
If it produces 3 points, it can stay. Carl Mitchley, 5742, Decremio, Paul Dexter, Andy Weiss _KO, Robert Pentecost, Phil Humphreys, and Terry JC 1971. Well done to all of you. You got 3 points with the correct score in our score prediction contest, and of course we'll find out where you are on the leaderboard if you watch the preview to the Bolton game. That's where we'll put our leaderboard up, but you'll all get 3 points, and everyone else who went for a Luton win will get 1 point. Nothing for me though, Jimbo. I went 1-1, but I'm absolutely delighted that Jerry Yates did score that winning goal despite that, and obviously your reverse psychology didn't go anywhere either, but it did lead us to a win. So I think all things being equal, we're all right, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm a lot cheerier than Saturday, and it's good that it come along so quickly after that as well. The response was everything you really want. Again, it wasn't perfect, but there's stuff there to work with and to be happier about. And when, then you look at the table and go, how are we? What, 4 points off the top? That's ridiculous, but good.
Well, that is it. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier in the podcast we look at the bigger picture, and we haven't done it. So let's do that very quickly. We haven't played. We've played, what, 3 good games of football in 17? Genuinely good games of football in 17? We're 4 points off top and we're 7th. If this team ever does click into consistent gear, watch out. So we ain't got many to overtake.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And maybe that is a good thing, because I think we're past the point where we did start to click into gear the last time we were in League One. But we saw what that did for us that season, and that was a really competitive league. 4 or 5 teams that were taking us sort of down to the wire in that one. And I haven't seen that in this season. Everybody's getting beaten by everybody. You find a little bit of consistency, Yeah, you could really make some waves in this division.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why promotion's on the table is because previous seasons in this league, it's been 100 points to win the league. You ain't going to need nowhere near 100 points to win this league. There is not a 100-point team in this league unless someone does something very bizarre in January. Um, I think if you take 85 points from this season, you're very strongly likely to be automatically promoted. Whether you win the league with 85, I don't know. But I'd be very surprised if you don't come top two with 85 based on what we've seen. I mean, we're 16, 17 games into the season and Stevenage are top of the table. That's no disrespect to Stevenage, but they didn't look a fantastically amazing side when they beat us. We kind of contributed a little bit to our own downfall. I think it is there for the taking for someone. Why can't it be us? Yes, we've got to be more consistent, absolutely. Yes, we've got to play better on a consistent basis. But you think that we've played all of the teams in and around us, and December looks like a lot of teams that are below us in the table or in the bottom half of the table, your Exeters, your Port Vales, your Leyton Orients and your Wickhams of this world. I think Leyton Orient might be halfway, so that's a little bit harsh. But more of them are lower half tables than top half of the table, as opposed to this month where it's been top half, top half, top half, top half. There is no reason why, once we get Saturday out of the way and we have 2 weeks without a league game, that we can build on getting some players back, get some more minutes into the players that are coming back, etc., why from that Port Vale home game onwards, we can't start to build a little bit of consistency. Oh, sorry, Leyton Orient away games before the Port Vale game, isn't it? From that game onwards, why we can't build a bit of consistency.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's why it's so good to see that so many solutions are being found to problems. Not all of them, but you can see that work is being done. And, if we hadn't got, you know, absolutely pumped by Barnsley, and yeah, we might have lost.
Bashed by Barnsley. Alliteration,
The
please.
alliteration there. Yeah,
Bashed by
sorry.
Barnsley.
Yeah, it's all about the alliteration today, which I'm all in favour of. But yeah, if you hadn't got bashed by Barnsley and it was maybe just a defeat, it wouldn't have been such an adverse reaction to it, and we could potentially still be saying ifs and buts, isn't it? But largely, since Wilshere's come in, more positives than not. There's just that it's had to pick this team up from such a low place to rise them to. But if you're going to do that while still winning games, and looking at the table as we've just discussed, you're still well in the mix. It's a decent place to be.
Yeah, and kudos to the boss as well, actually. You've said it a few times, never too high, never too low. That's for the boss himself. That's why John Still said it. It's not for fans, but it could easily, Jack Wilshere, a young coach, and let's bring Chris Powell into this as well. But Wilshere's a young coach. He could easily have sort of ripped it all up and started again last night, but he didn't. He kept to his plan. It was the same structure. It just moved a few different personnel into the side and out of the side. There were no signs. I know he didn't do a pre-match press conference, but there were no signs of panic that I could detect. It was just okay, we've had an absolute howler, but we're still carrying on with what we're doing. Still believe it's the right way to do things, and we'll go out and put it right. And he got the message across, and he got the tune out of the players.
Yeah, well, that's potentially where never too high, never too low is a benefit. It's for the players, it's for the manager, and if they can do that, fair enough. But you are well within your rights to be very excited about things and happy.
And if you don't believe us, believe Chris Powell, because the boy likes a win, doesn't he? He likes a win.
Yeah, he loves a little jig, doesn't he? I love to see that. It's the sort of things that, perhaps if you're at home, you didn't go to the game, it wouldn't particularly be picked up by the camera because it was well after the final whistle. But that feeling of connection between the fans and people, whoever it may be, but Chris Powell's generated that over a couple of games now. But I think everybody was really positive about his appointment anyway, and hopefully he's really helping Wilshere out.
Sure he is. Yep, certainly the way it came across when we were down at the Brace and interviewing him on Content Creator Day. So, yeah, good. Well done to Jack, Chris. Well done to everyone involved last night, actually. It's not easy to bounce back from 5-0 humiliation so quickly, but we did do, and hopefully we can get another result on Saturday and start to forget it. If you want to hear from a few of those that were involved last night, the Trust are hosting an event with 5 players on Sunday the 14th of December inside the Eric Morecambe Lounge and tickets are on sale now. Check out our socials for more details of how you can be there. We've got Cal Naismith, I've got to remember these, Cal Naismith, Josh Keeley,
Ted
Ted
Mengi.
Mengi, Jordan Clark and Nikki Wells, subject to confirmation. Obviously, injuries might play a part in that, and one or two names might have to change nearer the time, but they're the 5 players that we're hoping to have. And tickets are on sale, £10 for Trust members, £5 for Trust members who are under 16 or over 60. You can go if you're not a Trust member. It's £20 for adults, £10 for under 16s and over 60s, and half of that fee will be purchasing a membership for the rest of the year. Again, check out our socials and the Trust website for all information with regards to that. And if you do want to go to that, Sunday the 14th of December, inside the Eric Morecambe Lounge, 2:30 start, 2:30 in the afternoon. If you do want to go to that, get your tickets quick. They are selling fast. And enjoy an afternoon with some of our players. That's pretty much it for this episode of the podcast, Jimbo. A much more enjoyable one than the last review that we recorded, which I'm sure plenty of you were pleased about, as you requested a much more positive one when I saw you coming out of the ground last night, and we have delivered. Thanks again to all the folks at Marsh House, the proud new home of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, and in particular to Mason for letting us have Lamine Fanne's shirt in our studio, to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music as well. Until next time, which will be a preview of a tasty-looking clash with Bolton Wanderers on Saturday afternoon from Jimbo and myself. That was so much better, Town. More of that, please.